What's up, everybody? It's Sid and Millie back with another episode. Thank you so much for joining us today. We'll be chatting about a documentary we just watched called Big Chicken: A Fast Food Conspiracy. So pretty interesting.
Yeah, definitely. It's a documentary on Netflix, in which a UK comedian named Mo Gilligan essentially decides to do basically the Supersize Me thing from back in the day, but instead of eating like McDonald's for a month straight, he decides to eat fried chicken for 28 days for every single meal.
Yeah, that's 84 fried chicken meals. 84.
Yeah,
That's a lot.
pretty insane experiment.
Yeah, and like he went into it excited. He went into it ready to eat those 84 chicken meals.
Yeah, he did. I mean, he was kind of going into it with the expectation that it was going to be pretty easy, as most people probably would assume so because people are so used to eating those types of foods. But yeah, I think what he was like halfway before the realization hit him and he started becoming pretty miserable.
Yeah, he was like halfway through the experiment. I don't even think he made it halfway before he
Mm,
started feeling like super sluggish, super like brain fog,
yeah.
super just like not
Sad,
good.
like
Yeah, sick,
emotional. He was breaking down
moody.
a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah, like everything changed. Like he went to the doctor beforehand. You could see like the change in his aura throughout the entire thing. He just like
definitely.
became a depleted, sad, depressed person throughout
Yeah.
the month going on. So yeah, pretty nuts.
Yeah, it was crazy. Like you could, like Millie said, you could really sense like his aura at the beginning was light and like airy, and he was excited again, like just to get into it. He was like, I don't know what I'm gonna find out, but like, yeah, he was more of going into it with that curiosity. And
Yeah,
then as the month went on and he was learning more and seeing more and eating more, he was like really feeling the effects.
Yeah, 100%. And that's kind of the important part that I think he kind of addressed in this documentary, was kind of peeling back the curtain a little bit. We don't really aren't, most of society isn't really connected with the food we eat.
Facts.
And in the beginning, he was just eating and not really thinking about the implications of what is going into that food and how it's actually curated. And it's such an important piece that I think, a lot of us in society need to reconnect with, to really understand where our food is coming from,
Yes.
why there are so many outbreaks at these factories, why they're using so many pharmaceuticals on these livestock animals, what those pharmaceuticals long term are having an impact on us when we're consuming those animals. Those are the sorts of questions that kind of started to come up throughout the documentary, but it's the reality we all face.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like that is the scary reality
Yeah,
that people don't even realize is out there. It's
definitely.
like you said, he was peeling back the curtain, showing a lot of the
Mm,
health ramifications of eating this food, showing a lot of like just like himself gaining weight and himself going through all these changes. But it's like he was doing this for 28 days.
yeah.
Now imagine something that they addressed was food deserts. Imagine you're having to eat this food every single day because that's all you have access to.
Yeah. And so it was a little bit of a combination of the research into the United States and the UK, because the United States is kind of the home of the fast food fried chicken model, and
Yes.
the chicken, like the bird production models as well. A lot of that originated here in the United States, and now it is being copied by European nations. And so the implication of these American companies getting away with these things is that the same sorts of processes are being followed in other countries, which is again then, tampering with their food production and the
Mm-hmm.
safety and quality of their food. And in such a massive industry, with the fast food, food, the quick,
I
cheap
mean,
meals, it's a
yeah,
huge industry,
huge.
multi-billion-dollar industry. And I don't think people realize that these people are, it's like four suppliers that are in control of like all billions of birds a
Yeah,
year. And
billions.
so if a single one of those companies that's responsible for billions of birds, if they're taking shortcuts, their competitors are taking shortcuts, and they're only investigating each other and trying to hold each other accountable, there's a lot of
Ridiculous.
room for predatory practices to fall into place. And that's exactly what this documentary highlights.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, one of the things that they also talked about in here was the fact that I think this was just in the UK alone, but 36% of their primary school children are considered obese or overweight.
Wow.
Like,
Yeah.
just
That's just crazy.
think about that's so many children. Like
Yeah, that's tons.
36% of
Yeah.
the children.
Yeah, you'll have to rattle off some of the statistics
Yeah,
in
there
a
were
little
a
bit.
lot more,
But yeah, one of the parts of that is that, again, like the chicken that the chicken that we're eating, that these companies are producing for us, it is chickens, essentially baby chickens. They're growing up in the span of weeks, months. I think it was like what, 15 weeks or something
yeah,
like
like
that.
2 months or something.
In
or
2
maybe
months,
more than 2 months.
a animal is going from like an infant, a chick, to a full grown bird that is ready for slaughter. And in the documentary, they compared it to, if a human baby grew at that rate, it would take only a few months for that human baby to be the size of an adult pig. Think about that. There is no way an animal is supposed to be growing that fast. And the fact that it is growing that quickly and then immediately being slaughtered, it speaks volumes to how poor the quality of that food actually is.
So true.
And something they brought up was that the chicken that they're producing doesn't actually have a flavor. It's just flavorless because it's literally an infant bird that has died to produce that food on that plate for you. So what we're tasting when we're tasting it, we're not actually experiencing chicken. We're just experiencing the flavor that is on a flavorless infant meat.
Yeah.
And that's
disgusting. Because it showed the main character, I know
Mo.
Character showed Mo going to a supermarket in New Orleans, and he went and looked at the ingredients on the chicken, and it was the chicken, but then there was also chicken broth and chicken flavoring in the chicken, as well as some preservative
in chicken.
Yeah.
Think about how crazy it is that chicken has multiple ingredients. Think about that. They are quite literally adding chemicals to the food. And I know that people are going to argue, oh, well, we have to preserve things. Things have to make it to the shelves. Okay, well, how does that apply to you preserving your body and your health? Because these chemicals that are getting injected into our food are immediately then being put into our bodies.
Yeah, it's
and
true.
The diseases and the sicknesses that the doctors and the specialists in this documentary were highlighting, the diabetes, the obesity, the heart disease,
high blood
pressure,
cholesterol,
cardiovascular issues, all of those things were almost directly linked to these types of highly processed foods.
Yeah.
Fast food it's 100% processed.
Yeah.
And that's terrifying because so many people are consuming this food on the regular. Which means
so many people.
Yeah, you're essentially consuming poison.
100%. Yeah, I mean, that's really what it is.
Yeah.
It's really, I mean, they went through the process of how they make the chicken nuggets, and that was terrifying.
Right. And if you don't know how they make chicken nuggets, they take leftover parts of the chicken, they grind it up into a meat paste. They add chemicals into that meat paste, chicken flavoring to make it taste like chicken, preservatives, other chemicals, and then it's pumped out into those little nuggets and shipped all over the world.
Disgusting.
I mean, I can't even remember the last time I had a chicken nugget.
The thought of eating a chicken nugget sickens me.
Yeah, it makes me want to hurl.
God, it actually does. After watching that, especially, I'm like,
all right, let's hit a little fast fact. Like minute or something. Sid's just going to read off 5 facts from this documentary that we notated.
Okay,
so big chicken, fast food conspiracy, 5 facts. Here we go.
5 facts. Okay. Yeah. Well, this one is for the UK specifically. I'm like, okay, which ones do I want to read? Okay, so they have found that more than 50% of people's diets in the UK is made up of ultra processed food.
50%.
And over 12 million pounds of fried chicken are consumed every day in the UK.
12 million pounds of fried chicken are sold every day. Could you read the one about how many fried chicken stores there were in the UK? or in the
Oh,
US?
see, okay, in the US, they said there's over 22,000 fried chicken restaurants.
22,000 fried chicken restaurants in the United
But I
States.
feel like that might be a low ball because I also wrote down, see, they were going so fast through some of these facts, so that's my bad. But one of them did say that there are over 6,000 fried chicken shops in London
In
alone.
London alone, yeah,
So
because I
that's what I'm
remember they
like,
notated that one street. Yeah, but I
yes.
guess like the other thing to remember is that they were talking about places that were kind of specifically making fried chicken stuff.
Right,
So
yeah,
we
the
know that a
shops,
lot of
and
restaurants and stuff will also have fried chicken that won't get included in
that's
those
true.
specific numbers.
That's very
And even
true.
like you think of McDonald's. McDonald's is one of the largest fried chicken producers in the world, but their MO is really burgers. So
Yeah,
are
I
they
know I don't
considered as
really
a
think
fried
of them
chicken
as a fried
spot
chicken
or
spot,
not?
but
Right. So yeah,
yeah.
exactly. But on top of like the quality of the food, I think like we'll go like again, all of this is covered in the documentary. Let's go back to like, oh, I guess we didn't finish the facts.
No, it's okay. I'm like, there's so much in
I
here.
know.
If
I
you have
figured if you
things
would just
to,
start from the top, that way we can just go through all some of the like facts from it.
okay, valid, valid. Okay. All right, so I read those three off. Okay, they also said that KFC and McDonald's is planning to spend $2.5 billion on like opening more restaurants in the UK over the next 5 years.
Yeah, and something they had mentioned about KFC specifically is that they are basically like I forget how they described it, but they control everything in their process. They control the trucking, they control the production, they control all of those sorts of elements in the UK, essentially becoming a monopoly in that chicken
Mm-hmm.
business. And to the surprise of no one, KFC refused to comment or provide any notes for this documentary, even though they were asked multiple
Yeah.
times to provide any sort of, hey,
Yeah, I know.
um,
There were like multiple situations with the KFC, and I know it's kind of skipping a little bit ahead, but he
that's
had
okay.
gotten like the email back from them, like, oh, thanks so much for asking. Good luck with your film and
Right.
everything. And then they called the number that was attached to that email.
Yeah.
And the woman basically picked up, muted herself, and listened to them talk for probably a minute. And then once he said, oh, well, this is being recorded for my documentary, I emailed you, whatever, hung up immediately.
Yeah. Very
So
suspicious. I mean,
super
at the end of the
suspicious.
day, if a company is unwilling to comment or when they comment with those political sorts of answers, we know that they have something to hide. And the reality is, corporations do not have the best interests of the people in mind. The goal of a corporation is solely to maximize profit. And that's all these companies are trying to do. They're
Mm-hmm.
trying to produce the cheapest, dirtiest chickens possible, sell them to the public at a premium, and make maximum profit off of that. Meanwhile, these chickens are diseased, they can barely stand up, their feathers are falling off, they're living in not only inhumane but just unjust conditions in these factories. And that doesn't even begin to get into the implications of the human beings that live in the surrounding areas of
Mm-hmm.
these factories, because how much shit did they say the
Oh man.
chickens produce? There was a stat in there where it said that chickens in the United States alone produce enough shit to bury all of London. So where is that going? What are we doing with that? How is that being processed? It is seeping into water sources. They're polluting rivers. They're polluting well water in communities, and they're blowing that diseased, dirty air out of those enclosures that they have the chickens in, out into those communities, poisoning the air of those people who live in those areas. So people are getting asthma and earlier diseases, cancers from living in the vicinity of these chicken farms
Yeah.
just for you to get your fried chicken sandwich.
Disgusting.
It's
Yeah.
not worth it.
It's not at all. And that part of the film, they were actually in Delaware,
Mm,
and I missed the specific amount of shit that they produce, but Delaware alone has 276 million chickens
wow.
living there, and
That's probably,
each silo, basically, I don't know, it's not really a silo, but each of the like farm, I guess, the plant that they're kept in has up to 50,000 chickens
wow.
in one. And that's what you were
Yeah,
talking about with
yeah,
like the
yeah,
fans and everything. Like
yeah.
that is
Those
where there's,
enclosures.
yes.
And the thing with those enclosures, there's been leaked footage from workers at those places who have released the footage of what it's like in those places. And there is feces piled up thick from previous flocks of birds because there isn't any standard of cleaning the stuff. There is disease running rampant through them. So they have to give the birds tons of pharmaceuticals to try and keep them healthy enough before slaughter. Those, again, those sorts of diseases, we don't know what the implications of those diseases are on humans,
Nope.
or what the implications are of us consuming animal grade pharmaceuticals like in our food.
I
Those are
know.
just things that are happening at these farms. And what these farms have done to avoid responsibility is they simply don't allow investigation into their farms. They don't let people in to see what's going on. And they think that somehow absolves them of the crimes that they're committing behind closed doors. It
Yeah.
doesn't. It
It's
doesn't. It's
crazy.
just proving their guilt more so, because if you weren't guilty, you would let people in to see what's happening behind those closed doors. But the
Facts.
fact that they're not doing that speaks volumes.
Yeah. I mean, there's literally something that they were addressed called ag gag, which I assume is like
Mm,
agricultural like gag,
yeah.
just talking about how basically journalists or anyone that's trying to go into any of these farms is just not allowed in to see what the conditions are if their intention is to basically use the footage like against them, quote unquote, to like show
Right.
anything. Um, so yeah, like that was really interesting. The fact that they are very like lock and key. And when they
Right.
tried to break into one of the ones in the UK,
Right.
they had this like group of people had broken in there a few years prior and saw the conditions and they were horrible. But this time when they went back, there was like multiple more locks. Like they
Yep.
were really locking everything down. So it just goes to show that like instead of adjusting their practices and fixing their practices, they're just making it more difficult for people to see what their practices are.
Exactly. And in the UK specifically, there was a notation added at the end of the documentary where essentially they were talking about how a few UK chicken producing farms, those conglomerates had come together and agreed to they had come together and agreed to be subject to a third party testing their facilities, those sorts of things, to make sure conditions were better. And they had agreed to try and improve conditions by this year, 2026. And every single company backed out of that agreement. They formed their own coalition that will do their own investigations.
Yeah.
So imagine that. The guilty people, the people who are guilty of poisoning our food, feeding us terrible chicken, terrible quality food, and having terrible working condition and living conditions for these chickens, those are the people who are going to be doing their own investigations on their own unsafe conditions. Does that make sense to you?
Doesn't make sense to me.
How could the criminals be investigating their own crimes?
That's a great question.
I'm a bit confused by that. And
Yeah.
I'm a bit confused as to how that's been able to pass even in the UK. In the
I
United States, it
know.
doesn't really surprise me because I know that all of the corporations, KFC, McDonald's, etc., all the big chicken companies, Tyson, Purdue, all of the farms, we know that they have lobbyists that pay our politicians, and they pay off all of these people to make sure that there are no laws put in place to actually do. We know that's going to happen in the
Yeah.
United States. That's the expectation here. We have one of the most corrupt governments in the world. But in the UK, I'm just baffled
I
that
know.
the UK, with again the progressiveness that they claim to have, allowed these giant conglomerate companies to come in and tarnish their food quality as well.
Yeah, it's pretty scary. It's pretty, I mean, eye-opening towards the UK, especially
Yeah.
England, like turning
Yeah.
kind of into a little America.
Right.
He kind of alluded to that a little bit with
Yeah.
this, especially with the chicken and the practices that they're doing over there, kind of mimicking the American practices.
Yeah.
So,
Exactly.
yeah.
And again, like all of these things, and we've chatted about it before in our, US food video a couple weeks ago, but they go hand in hand, right? The pharmaceutical companies are making money from the chicken conglomerates, right? From the Tyson Foods, because the pharmaceutical companies are giving them the drugs to keep the chickens alive, right? So pharmaceuticals make money there. Now the quality of the food is piss poor, terrible for you, and is poisoning your body every time you ingest it, which is going to lead you to the doctor for obesity, diabetes, cardiovascular, high blood pressure, et cetera, et cetera. AKA, Big Pharma is making more money again, this time on you, not on the chicken that you ate.
Yeah.
And that is why we're highlighting how predatory this system is, because it is the same companies that are working together in cahoots with each other
Yeah.
to prey and be predators on the consumers. And we are consuming the poison they're feeding us, so that they can give us more poison later on in life.
Yeah, it's so true. It's like a closed loop for them.
Yeah, exactly. And another element of that again is even the working conditions of the workers, right? They're getting paid in the United States barely above minimum wage, no bathroom breaks, peeing in it's like an Amazon factory.
Yeah.
People are peeing in diapers, peeing on themselves while they're working with the food we're eating. And we're wondering why we're having recalls every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
But that's why it starts with the working conditions in these factories.
Yeah, the working conditions they were talking about were horrible. I mean, it's like, I don't remember what the actual term for it is, but back when, before a lot of machines started coming into factories and people were having to do every little thing, and you would basically develop almost a twitch because you're doing the same repetitive motion over and over and over again. And they were talking about the some like chicken catchers basically doing the same thing every single day, catching chickens. Like, the guy said he couldn't even bend his fingers or close his hands, and they'll like wake up in the night twitching, like as if they're catching chickens, basically.
Yeah,
like
and
that's
bad.
It's
crazy. And not just that, these chicken companies are exploiting child labor in a lot of cases, not just illegal immigrant labor, but also child labor. So they're employing, people who quite literally can't argue back, can't fight back, can't really say anything, because they're either not old enough or they don't have legal status in the United States.
Right.
So it's essentially like a form of slave labor, right?
Definitely.
You've got children working in meat poultry factories, processing the chicken you're eating at a fast food restaurant. That's insane. And the company that was found guilty of doing this, they were supplying workers for all of the big poultry companies. So all of them are exploiting that sort of labor to, again, keep their conveyor belt going. And it's feeding the fast food industry. That's what it is. That is what is funding this predatory practice that is both killing young people, but also people as they're living their lives.
Yeah, absolutely. And another thing on that is the fact that the big chicken companies get to avoid responsibility because they're using contracting companies to employ these workers, the children. They're basically saying it's not our responsibility, it's not our fault, because the contractors are the ones that are hiring the people and bringing them here to work in our factories.
Always avoiding the responsibility.
Of course. And like, one of the other things they were saying was how their working conditions are so bad. A lot of the workers there, with regards to cleaning a lot of the big machinery, like, there was a whole report of a case, I forget when it was, but someone literally was decapitated at one of the Tyson Foods factories, basically working with this big equipment. And they just settled a lawsuit.
So pretty crazy. Again, these companies are scary. They're terrifying. They're multi-billion-dollar corporations. They have ties with the police. In one place they went in the documentary, the Tyson factory basically had police officers stationed outside to make sure people weren't getting too close. You could see the turbines. You could see the waste facility center that was not too far away. And conveniently, the UK guy, of course, Mo interviewed a UK person who's involved in the poultry practices in the United Kingdom. And of course, all of his answers were political. Mo asked him directly, well, what about the waste facilities? What about those things? And the guy goes, Oh yeah. Everything's good with those. Everything's good.
Yeah, he said they're very much controlled.
Meanwhile, the same company he represents is actively under investigation in the UK for their unsafe practices, and other chicken producers in the UK have already polluted multiple rivers in England due to their unsafe poultry practices.
Yeah.
So the fast food that you're eating, consuming, is quite literally poisoning the water you drink. So fried chicken or clean water? I'm gonna choose clean water.
I would also, yeah.
Yeah.
But I guess because that was another thing on that, just kind of leading me to think about the addiction aspects that they touched on,
Yes, one of the doctors was talking about the addiction aspect,
which was pretty interesting. Basically, saying like the things that he was feeling when he was eating the chicken, like he was basically, it conditions your brain almost, it changes your brain chemistry to not be able to say like, I'm full now, I'm done with this. Like you keep eating it even though you're still feeling full because it tastes so good, it's giving you a little boost of dopamine, it's making you feel good in the moment.
Yep.
And then very quickly after you finish eating, you're having a crash and you're feeling bad, you're having a mood swing, and then
Yeah.
the only thing that is going to make you feel better is eating more of the fried chicken. And he was experiencing that.
Yeah.
And literally, she was like, you're basically going through the symptoms of addiction, and like,
right.
yeah, going through withdrawals every time you're not eating the fried chicken, which is why you want to keep eating more and more.
Yeah, and again, like he also chatted to a food scientist, a food chemist in this documentary, and it's also important to realize is that these companies have hired scientists to make the food we're eating more appealing to our brains. So they are appealing to our subconscious unknowingly to you. So you don't even realize that they've spent hundreds of millions of dollars, if not more, to make sure that that chicken gives you the right crunch, to make sure that snack melts the right way in your mouth. They are researching those elements to trick our brain chemistry into thinking that food is good. That is predatory, massively predatory. Tricking people's subconscious brains, looking for signals that would appeal to human beings' brains, and then putting those things in the food to make them seem more appealing, even though they're terrible for our bodies.
They're villains. They're villains.
Super villain shit.
Actually, like that's crazy. When I was listening to her talk, I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Because she was talking about how they'll like test for the perfect crunch. They'll make sure it has the right amount of like fat and butter to make you really want more of it. They'll make sure like that the what was the other thing she was talking about? I forget, but they just like go through all of these different things to make sure that it appeals to us, to people, to make you want to come back. Oh, she was saying like they go they try and make sure it's craveable. They like figure out what the craveability is of the food, and they do anything that they can to make it more craveable.
Yeah. And for example, like in the UK, they said people there, they consume a ton of KFC. It's like the number one brand of fried chicken in the United Kingdom. And like a KFC chicken sandwich, they said, has 142 ingredients. One chicken sandwich, 142 ingredients.
That's disgusting.
What are you eating?
I know, because something that they had mentioned was like the natural and artificial flavoring ingredient, which is basically just like
it's a loophole.
It's a loophole that they can use to put more chemicals in the food but not disclose what those chemicals are.
Yeah.
They do similar stuff with like skincare products and things like that with like their fragrance ingredient, because they don't have to list what's in that.
Because it's like the recipe or whatever.
Yeah,
it's
exactly. Like but yeah, because another interesting thing that they were saying on there, I've lost my train of thought, to be honest. But yeah, no, it's just like so interesting about the craveability and how they were kind of like using the food scientists
to exploit that, to exploit our brains, and that's predatory. You know what I mean? Like, yes, the food, yes, everybody wants to eat good food, but if the food isn't good, we shouldn't be getting tricked into thinking it is. through
No.
chemicals, through tasted versions. It is what is it, like false advertising.
Yeah,
You're
it's false
advertising
advertising.
a product
Yes.
that isn't actually what we're getting,
Yeah,
which is
what
which
an
is a big thing. But something I also wanted to note that I loved that they covered in this is a little bit of like the history of black chicken, of fried
yes.
chicken, in the history of racism against black people in within like the history of fried chicken, because as we know, you know, the slave owners were
Stereotype.
giving the slaves the leftover bad pieces of chicken at those times, the wings and other parts of the chicken that the slave owners didn't want. And the slaves were the one who came up with the concept of fried chicken, and popularized it.
Yeah.
And in pure white fashion, white people then weaponized this new creative and innovative food that black people had curated. They then weaponized it against them to kind of reinforce their racist stereotypes. And then those same racist stereotypes were then used to capitalize on this piece of Black history, which is fried chicken. And the first propagators of that were KFC, with the
Yep.
whole colonel who is dressed as a slave owner, talking about how he's got this fried chicken recipe that came from his farm. Yeah, aka he was a
His
slave owner and
slaves.
his
Yeah.
slaves made the fried chicken. But that was largely what popularized fried chicken in the United States with KFC back in that day. But
Yeah.
again, super ironic, popularizing a black invention after, you know, uh, creating stereotypes and racism and bigotry towards black people for their consumption of those types of things, and then flipping it and turning it into a massive profit engine for themselves.
Of
So
course.
yeah,
Yeah.
pretty typical, but I'm glad they covered it in
Yeah.
this and brought some light and awareness to the history behind fried chicken, where it came from, and how it was popularized after being weaponized.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It
So
was a great point to touch on because he was kind of feeling like a type of way. He was feeling a little uncomfortable with the fact that he was a black man just eating fried chicken for 28 days straight, like the
exactly,
stigma behind that. So
exactly.
he went, yep, and spoke with someone about the history of fried chicken in the United States and kind
Yeah,
of, yeah, unearthed a lot of things, which was really good, and I'm really glad they touched on that as well
yeah,
because it's an important history to acknowledge because it was something that came from, and they address that as well. A lot of things that are considered cool come off of the backs of black people.
yeah,
And we know that's a fact. And so it's
yeah.
the same thing here. It's like they used a white person to, popularize it
Popularize. Yeah,
amongst white people.
yeah.
But that doesn't change the fact that it was not a white creation.
Yeah, 100%. And then another thing they talked about, which I thought was really important as well, was the indoctrination, right? All of us get indoctrinated to the fast food scene from a young age. We see the signs on the road when we're driving past. We see it in the TV on commercials. So we're always getting exposed to this fast food, fast food. Of course, we all have it as children as well.
Of
Everybody's
course,
parents
yeah.
grab some fast food at some point. So you get exposed to something and you kind of it becomes normalized in your
Mm-hmm.
life, right? Even though the reality is, if we were getting that nutrition education, we should be avoiding fast food like the plague, because
True.
it is massively unhealthy, massively processed, and is massively damaging to our bodies. So if we had that nutrition education, we would know to stay clear of fast food. But because that isn't there from a young age, they're implanting that, oh, it's okay, it's good, it's delicious, it's yummy, this is what you want to eat, it's
Mm-hmm.
quick. And that follows through into adulthood. This is
Yep.
same sorts of patterns that people fall into, because it is fast, because it is convenient, and because we have so little control over the time in our lives, because we have to work all the time. So
Yeah.
it makes it really tough and makes it very easy for people to rely on quick meals to sustain themselves.
Yeah, so true. It's so true. I was literally because they had like a whole term specifically for that
Oh, did they?
customer lifetime value.
Wow.
So basically, exactly what Millie was just talking about. It's a term in the food industry, which basically means what Millie was saying. They brainwash children from a very young age to want the food
Yeah.
because the earlier you start with their brainwashing and they're like, I guess like giving them this food, the addictable kind of food, they will become a lifelong customer, and that is exactly what they want. They
Yep.
want something to be so desirable that people will come back time and time again throughout their whole life.
And that, and the exactly what you said, the pharmaceutical companies are licking their lips as well. Because again, like you said earlier in the video, 50% of kids in the United Kingdom, probably even worse in the United States,
Yeah.
are dealing with obesity, diabetes, those sorts of things. So think about that. That is pharmaceutical companies making money on your children earlier in life, and then having lifelong pharmaceutical patients as well,
Yep.
right? Because if your child is obese or has diabetes or high blood pressure at that age, they're going to be needing stuff to sustain them, right? So it's like you're a lifelong customer on the fast food, but you're also a lifelong customer on pharmaceuticals. So like it is, again, predatory and dangerous for your body.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah. Scary.
So I feel like with all of that said, that was a lot.
That was
We've
a lot.
come at you with a lot of facts, with a lot of statistics from Big Chicken Fast Food Conspiracy, a documentary on Netflix. But now we kind of are going to switch gears a little bit and talk about maybe some of the ways we can all do a little bit better for our health, for our environment, and just for society in general, to kind of combat against these massive food giants.
Okay.
So do a little bit of that, and then we'll highly recommend this documentary.
Yes, highly recommend, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what was something that you were thinking?
Well, first off, kind of what we got in the 6-month later check-in is, sustainability, right? There are farmers out there that are doing the right things, and they are making their products available in these stores. Yes, it is probably more expensive, but it is going to be massively more healthy for you, for your family, for your children, if you can find a supplier, a farmer that is growing their chickens naturally. I again remind you, chickens should not be going from birth to slaughter size in a span of weeks. That is not natural. That is what is happening with the chicken that we are eating in fast food right now.
Yeah.
It is unhealthy, but there are sustainable farmers who are doing the right things and not pumping their chickens full of steroids, full of these pharmaceuticals and antibiotics, right? So try and find those sorts of people. Try and find those sorts of suppliers where you get your eggs, where you're getting your poultry products from, because supporting those businesses will also help fight back against the massive conglomerates.
Yes. Nice. Love that. Yeah. Sustainable farming. We love. Another one, minimize the amount of meat you're eating.
Bingo. We can all do it. It is so easy. It is so easy. Cut down on your poultry consumption.
Facts.
Meat consumption generally, but poultry as well.
Yeah.
If you are going to be eating these things, make it at home yourself. I mean, I know it is more time consuming, but again, like, think about your long-term health in the process.
Genuinely.
Like, is saving 10, 15 minutes worth of time worth the hospital bills in the future? I don't know. Weigh that scale up for yourself.
Yeah.
But if we all cut down on that, again, we'll be cutting down the funding to these multi-billion-dollar corporations.
Yeah.
So if you can cut your meat consumption down 2-3 times a week, you alone will be making a massive difference.
So true.
Yeah. Mix in some veggies, get some vegetable options, some beans. Beans are very high in protein.
Yeah.
Quinoa is very high in protein. Rice. There's so many different things you can do. It doesn't have to be a meat-based protein.
That's true.
So
yeah,
mushrooms, mix it in.
Whatever you can get access to.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And you're going to be so much healthier for it.
Yeah.
Like that's the other thing. You'll be healthier.
Definitely, you'll be healthier.
Yeah.
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 Well, what else did you?
Well, I'll just piggyback on yours with the cut down on meat consumption. Cut down on fast food.
Oh,
for the love of God, do not eat fast food if you can avoid it. It should not be your primary go-to. Even the grocery stores now are offering pre-made like meals that they're making in their grocery store kitchens, right? We see, I don't want to speak for the UK, but at least in the United States, Harris Teeter, Kroger, Whole Foods, every single grocery store is offering free prepared meals. You can get a salad, some soup. I don't know. There's all of those sorts of options that are ready to go at the store. So there's really no need for you to stop at McDonald's when you could go to your local grocery store and get a healthier, better meal that's still going to be ready for you right there that you can buy, take, and go eat.
Yep.
So in terms of convenience, there's really no excuse anymore. The grocery stores are offering quick meals that you can get ready to go out the door. So shift the perspective of convenience and find a healthier alternative.
Yeah, very true. Love that. Yeah. Whatever you can get access to, find somewhere like the grocery stores that Millie mentioned and get a pre-prepared meal, because a lot of places are offering that now. So it's maybe not the easiest because it's not the fast food, but it's better for you.
I mean, yeah, you're going to be waiting in a drive-through line anyway. It's going to be way faster for you to just park and walk into a grocery store. It will be way faster in the time consumption or time conservation manner.
That's
You
true.
go grab your meal, you self-check out, you're back in your car and eating before you know it.
Yeah,
It's-
true.
It will be much faster than fast food.
No,
Trust
that's
me.
very true.
I've seen the line at Chick-fil-A and it's wrapped around the building 3 times. You can't even pull up there. So it's just like, you're telling me it's more convenient to wait in that line than pop into the grocery store? You lie.
Yeah, honestly.
I'm sorry.
Okay, well, what else? I must have missed the 6-month check-in. I was not
Oh,
keen
well,
on
I
some of
mean,
those things, but-
we've kind of touched on a few different
Yeah.
things, but really just like healthy alternatives, right? Can you add in more vegetables, more fruit, those sorts of things, and mix up your nutrient intake? Too much protein isn't good anyway. Yes, it can help you cut fat, but at the end of the day, you can also become malnourished on just a protein diet. You
Mhm.
need other nutrients, so you need to get those vegetables. Conveniently, most of these fast food places don't offer vegetables, not with their main courses, right? You'd have to get a salad, which is
Yeah.
unappealing to
And
most
most
people.
times, salads at fast food restaurants have more calories than a chicken sandwich,
Exactly.
which is crazy.
Yeah. So with that being said, try out other recipes. I mean, again, just mix it up. I just don't, fast food just can't be the go-to.
Yeah,
It just really can't be.
It can't be.
Also, again, another thing we can do, vote, right?
Mm.
We can listen to politicians blabber on about other things, but the reality is we need politicians that are going to represent our interests right now. No more politicians that are going to bow down, get on their knees for their corporate daddies and allow them to do whatever they want. We need politicians who are going to stand up for the people that they're representing and tell these corporations to do the right thing and force them to do so. Otherwise, they'll be sanctioned and potentially closed down. That used to be a thing back in the day, you know? If a company was found doing something terrible and they were cutting the line on things, they would get shut down.
Wow.
Remember, we used to have airlines that were shut down because of one crash,
Oh,
let
wow.
alone these companies and the shit they're getting away with now. So we need more no-nonsense politicians that are going to hold these corporations accountable. And it is up to us, the people, to vote for those politicians. I would be, well, maybe not a single issue voter. I won't go that far. But I would definitely throw my support behind politicians. We know there will be progressive people who are pushing for food quality standards to be pushed into those sorts of industries. I would 100% get on that ticket. And all of us need to be making that demand of our politicians. Force them to add that to the ticket. If your politician hasn't mentioned what they're going to do for food safety and food quality, ask them that question directly when they have their open town hall or whatever it may be. Ask them that question, bring it up. We have to be the front lines to our own health and safety.
True.
So ask them that question and force them to put it on their ballot if they haven't already.
Yeah, honestly, so true. That's such a good point. I didn't even think about that, but it is something that we have control over in small ways. You know, like we can look at what the policies that different politicians in your area have behind, you know, food quality, because it's not really something that people might think about too often, but it's something that affects your health every single day.
We eat multiple times a day.
Yeah.
So food should be something that we're thinking about at all times.
Yeah.
Because it is fueling your body. So if you're putting terrible fuel in your car, right, your engine ain't going to work properly. So,
yeah, true.
Right. Apply the same mental thought process to your body. You want to put good fuel and make sure it's tuned up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Yeah. With that, be, you know, intentionally eating. Yeah. Don't just be eating to eat.
Exactly.
Be eating and thinking, because it's one of the things they also mentioned about your brain chemistry, not knowing, okay, when am I full? You just keep eating.
But if you're intentionally sitting there eating your food and not just going for the fast food and convenience and be like, okay, I'm eating just because I'm eating, I'm driving, whatever, you know, sit and eat your food and sit with it and let it digest a little bit and think about, am I feeling full right now? Because you probably won't eat the whole thing that's on your plate if you actually think about it.
Yeah. And I mean, the way our bodies work, right? You shouldn't eat until your body tells you you're hungry through those hunger pains, through that stomach growl. That's when your body is letting you know it's time to eat. And then on the flip side of that, you're not supposed to eat until you're full. That comatose like food post eating nap is actually a bad thing. It means you've overeaten.
Mm-hmm.
You're only supposed to eat until you no longer feel hungry anymore. That is how we're supposed to be fueling our bodies. Think about animals and the way they exist, right? Lions aren't just going and killing every gazelle they see, right? That wouldn't make sense. They've got to process that food, like Sid was saying, let it digest, let the nutrients get into their body. So in the same way with us, don't eat just because it's mealtime, right? No one's ringing a bell for you. You don't have to eat. You can wait until you get hungry and then just eat enough until you're satisfied.
Yes, because kind of a fun fact on that one. So your brain basically won't be able to start telling if you're feeling full until about 30 minutes after you start eating.
Wow.
Yeah.
Most of the meal is done by then.
Right. So that's why it's like, if you eat slow, you'll start feeling that fullness a little bit as you're going through your meal, versus if you do eat fast, you're just going to eat everything and then not feel full or feel anything until after, which is why they say, like, don't eat your food while you're watching something, because you're just mindlessly eating while you're watching. You're not actually paying attention to what you're eating, how much you're eating, or anything like that. You're just eating till your plate's empty. But you don't always have to eat till your plate is empty.
Facts.
And I think that is something that, like, we need to ingrain in our brains, because I think that, something that is so ingrained in especially American minds is portion sizes. Because that's something, I mean, even we'll go to restaurants, we share almost every meal we get at a restaurant, because how can anyone eat so much food? I just, I don't get it.
Those were our takeaways from this documentary on Netflix. It is called The Big Chicken, a fast food conspiracy. It's diving into the fast food that a lot of people are eating, specifically the fried chicken element. If you can, avoid fast food at all costs. Eat healthier foods, eat some vegetables, or cook at home if at all possible. Worst comes to worst, go into your grocery store as an alternative to a fast food restaurant and grab something they have. It's going to be massively better for you in the long run. They are poisoning our food. That's simply put the gist of it all. They're poisoning our food, and it is on us to make the decisions to keep ourselves healthy.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely.
So please go watch this documentary on Netflix. It's called Big Chicken, a Fast Food Conspiracy. We just watched it. It is worth the watch. Definitely. So much information, very insightful. Yeah.
Just watch it. Yeah. So if you made it this far,
thanks for watching.
And we'll see you next time.
Peace.
Bye.